What's up everyone, my name is Justin and this is Anxious Ambition, where we give you the tools and tips you need to better control your anxiety. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you my top 5 things that have helped me the most. Let's check it out. The first thing I want to talk about is journaling. Journaling is very important for anyone dealing with any mental health issues. If you find yourself stuck in these negative thought loops where you're thinking of something just constantly and you cannot get out of your head and it's literally driving you crazy, I really recommend you grabbing a journal and writing it down. No matter how crazy the thought is, you really just need to get it out of your head or it's not going to go away. If you have OCD, you can have these obsessive thoughts that are constantly playing in your head. Being able to put that on paper and get it out of your head and put it on paper really helps. So for me, I have a journal that I pretty much have a journal at work, I have a journal at home. If you don't have a journal around, grab a piece of paper, anything. Just make sure you write it out. This is not a journal. This is your phone. Typing something in here is not the same as physically writing it down. There's something special about physically writing something down with a pen and paper. So that's the first thing. Grab yourself a journal. If you start having crazy thoughts or you feel really overwhelmed, write down everything you're thinking and get it onto paper. You might just have a lot of things you need to do and it's making you really anxious. You're trying to prioritize everything you need to do in your head and you're just not gonna be able to do that. So write down those things you need to do. Write down those things that are really bothering you. Get it out of your head. We, as anxious people, we spend a lot of time up here and we need to do our best to get those thoughts out. My number 2 tip is to stop drinking caffeine. Whether that's coffee, energy drinks, pop, just cut it out of your diet. Most of the people that I talk to that deal with anxiety, once they cut out caffeine, they notice a huge difference in their anxiety levels throughout the day. If you're someone that drinks coffee every day, start drinking decaf. You can start doing half decaf and half caffeinated and just slowly taper yourself down to pure decaf and eventually even get off the decaf. I don't want to talk about this too much because I have a full video that I just did about this. I'll leave a link down in the description so you can check it out. My third tip is to start doing box breathing. So box breathing is a simple technique that the US Navy SEALs, athletes, nurses have all been doing for a long time. And it's very popular because it's an easy way to get yourself into a meditative state where you're also focused. So you're not just gonna feel tired after doing this, but it kind of just puts your body in that parasympathetic state. It's the opposite of that fight or flight state. So if you're anxious, you're in that fight or flight. If you're calm, you are in that parasympathetic. So box breathing is, again, very simple. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna breathe in for 4 seconds through your nose. You're gonna then hold that breath for 4 seconds. Breathe out for 4 seconds, and then hold it again for 4 seconds. And you're gonna repeat it for, guess what, 4 times. So there's gonna be a graphic on the screen right now that shows how to do it. It's very, very simple. You can imagine, something that I find really helpful is imagining that square in your head when you're doing the breathing. Now, this is something that I find myself doing if I'm anxious in public because it's very simple to do without being easily noticeable that you're doing something. In this case, I'll breathe in and out through my nose just so it kind of looks more natural and it's just really helpful. What I do is if I'm ever trying to meditate, this is also the breathing technique that I use. Because after you do it, 4 times, you find yourself very calm and able to think clearer and you're more focused. So next time you're feeling anxious, try this breathing technique. I think it's really gonna help you out. It's been very prominent in battling my anxiety. It's something you can do anywhere and everywhere, whether you're in public or even having a conversation with someone. You can nonchalantly do this breathing technique without bringing a lot of attention to yourself. My number 4 thing is magnesium. I made a whole video talking about how important magnesium is for anyone dealing with anxiety. It is super crucial that you are taking magnesium. There's tons of research out there that shows that 75% of people are deficient in magnesium, and that deficiency can lead to a multitude of issues, including anxiety, depression, insomnia, chronic fatigue, low libido. There's so many things, the list goes on and on. Even things outside of neurological. There's so many things that magnesium is needed for in the human body. I believe it's over 300 different mechanisms utilize magnesium, and we just don't get enough through our diet. So I really recommend trying supplementing with something like a natural calm. I specifically right now use the gummies. There's also a powder form that I recommend trying. If anyone ever mentions that they're anxious, the first thing I ask them is, have they ever tried magnesium? And usually the answer is no. And then they go out and buy some and they call me or text me saying, hey, this really works. I feel so much more relaxed. And you can feel the same way. Go ahead and buy some magnesium and try it for yourself. You won't regret it. The fifth and probably the most important thing I recommend you doing is starting to see a therapist. You know, for me, I was anti-therapy for the longest time. It wasn't until probably a year ago is when I started seeing a therapist, and up until then I was very anti-therapy. I would just think, what are they going to do for me that I don't already know about myself? And I was wrong. It was super helpful. I had family members pushing me to do it. I had my brother tell me, hey, it's super helpful. And I finally did it, and it was amazing. I had someone that I could talk to that wasn't a friend or a family that I felt almost ashamed talking to sometimes, because there's things that you don't want to tell your spouse or your mom or your dad or your friends. It's very uncomfortable to talk about. I mean, you can talk to someone that has no relationship with you. They have a very unbiased view of things, and they can just set you straight and think, hey, maybe you feel this way because of this, this, and this, or that thing that's happened to you in the past could be why you think this way today. And I don't want to get super in depth about what happens in therapy, but you really should go see a therapist. The hardest thing to do when you're dealing with a mental illness is going to talk to someone about it. It's okay that you're not feeling okay. If you're struggling, you need to go and talk to someone, a professional. So you need to go talk to a professional. We've all had those conversations with our parents, our spouse, our friends, and yes, they're trying to help you, but they're not trained to help you with your mental illness. And you need to go to a therapist or even a psychiatrist and have them talk to you about it. Speech therapy can be extremely eye-opening. You learn a lot about yourself that you've never known. You learn a lot about your past, things that could have contributed to how you're feeling today. And if you find a good therapist, they're going to push you through. They're going to push you to do things that maybe you don't want to do. But there's something about having your therapist telling you to do something instead of, hey, maybe your friend says, hey, you should go to the gym. And you just go, yeah. But when your therapist says, hey, you need to go to the gym, here's your homework, you're paying a good amount of money to go see this therapist, you feel more accountable and you're going to go do it. If you're seriously struggling with anxiety and you find yourself not being able to do everyday things, you really need to go see a therapist. It's going to be eye-opening, and it's going to be amazing for what it can do for you. A therapist can just really help you get on the right path to recovery. And it really wasn't until I saw a therapist that I felt like I could recover and I could get more control over my anxiety. I was doing everything I thought I was supposed to do. I was exercising, I was, taking the medications, I was taking the supplements, I was journaling, all the things we talked about previously. But it wasn't until I saw a therapist that it really opened up my eyes to things that I need to be doing, and it made me accountable for it. So please go see a therapist. I know it can be expensive, but there's options out there. Do not make that the excuse for you not to see somebody. If you're a churchgoer, talk to your church. I'm sure they know somebody that you can go talk to, maybe for a lowered rate. There's also things called a sliding scale. My therapist, she had a sliding scale, so she made it more affordable for me. And some insurances cover it. Just don't let money be the excuse. Cut out fast food and you can afford a therapy session. You need to make it a priority instead of a luxury, because therapy is something that you need to heal. It may just not be a therapist. Maybe you go see a life coach, or you go see a anxiety coach, someone that has been there, someone that studies this stuff. Your family, as much as they love you, they are not your therapist. And you need someone that is outside the situation to tell you what you need to do and walk you through the steps that you need to get to the other side. Anxiety doesn't control me anymore. And a big part of that is from seeing a therapist. And I'm very thankful for my therapist. And you don't have to go forever. You know, for me, I went for probably about a year. And, you know, now I haven't been to her in a little while, but if I needed to, I know I would go. Because I know how important therapy can be. If I needed to, I would call her up and we'd set up a session. You know, and if there's one thing you take away from this video, it would be to set up a therapy session or get yourself a life coach, go see a psychiatrist. You know, there's so many different options other than, you know, I'm labeling as a therapist, but, you know, counselor at your school can help. Again, a life coach, a psychiatrist. There's so many options out there. What I'm recommending you doing is just find one and go talk to them. Getting some of that stuff just off your chest can feel so good and take that weight of the anxiety or depression off of you so you can move forward. Now that was my top 5 things that helped me the most with anxiety. If you plan on trying any of these, go ahead and hit that like button for me. And if you like content like this, go ahead and subscribe. If there's anything that helps you a lot with your anxiety, leave it down below. I'd love to see what worked for you. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Until next time, thanks for watching.